keep coming back for more. So I would like to introduce HPC. She is the only woman business owner in the Green Mile here in the Port Hueneme, the area, whatever you want to call it. So I like to have a lot of fun with Beth because she's the only real man on the block. And yeah, I said that on live camera. So she's been around for a long time. Her 1-year anniversary is finally coming on 420 day of all days. So we're having a lot of fun with that. But I like that Beth likes to educate people. She likes to make people feel welcome, and if you ever go into her shop, it is a lot of fun, and she has a bathroom. That's clean. So it's always a plus. So I'd like to introduce Beth Luna and her team at HPC.
Hello, good morning. Well, first of all, thank you for coming out so early. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Francine, for having us. It's really we really appreciate the opportunity to educate. We have some incredible people working. This is Erica Titino. She's one of our consultants and one of our education specialists, really. And if you please, we're welcome to come in. You do not have to buy, but it's always so fun to just come in, take a look around, chat with people if you have any questions, because that's what we're here for. So thank you again for having us, and I'm going to turn it over to Erica and talk to you about cannabis.
Hello, everybody. So I am one of the floor managers at HPC. I'm also the education specialist. I do a lot of these talks. I really try to focus on the scientific process of the plant, how it really works inside of our bodies, rather than just saying, here, take some CBD, it'll make you feel better, right? So I try to give people a clear understanding. You guys are gonna learn and probably know more than people who have been consuming this plant for years. So I'm just gonna get started. I'm gonna start you off with a brief outline of topics. I'm going to go over a little bit of a history of medical cannabis, the 7 primary cannabinoids. There's really only 6, but I included one last one just because I think it's really important. Also the endocannabinoid system, how the plant works inside of our bodies. I'm going to talk about terpenes. So terpenes are basically the aromatics of the plant, but they do play a large role in what effect the plant's going to give you. I'm going to talk about the entourage effect, how the cannabinoids and the terpenes work together for the full benefits of the plant. Common ailments that can be treated with cannabis, also consumption methods and safety tips. There are not enough safety tips out there. People just dive right in and then they end up calling 911 because they got too high or whatever the case may be. I really, really, really want to stop that because this plant cannot kill you, it cannot hurt you, it might make you feel a little funny, but I'm just going to go over some safety tips so that you don't have a bad time on this plant. So, little history of medicinal cannabis. The earliest record of medical cannabis use is in 2727 BC in China. So that was from a surgeon who used to mix cannabis oil with rice wine and use it for anesthesia during surgery. There's also hieroglyphic evidence of ancient Egyptians using the cannabis plant. In India, they have a health drink called Bang, so it's kind of a cannabis elixir. In the Middle East, they actually bathe in the cannabis plant along with cloves for all of the inflammation benefits. And then in the United States, cannabis was used in medicine, like cough syrups and things like that, until the 1930s when Prohibition happened. So you can see here, this is a real picture from a Sears catalog from the 1900s. And this here is a cannabis indica tincture. So might be used for cough medicine or for sleeping, would be my guess there. All right, so what does the cannabis plant contain that makes it medically beneficial? So one of those things is going to be the cannabinoids, and there are really 6 primary cannabinoids, and I added that 7th one there, that THCV, because like I said, it's really important. You'll find out why. So I'll start with THC, the medical properties of THC. Now, first of all, this is the most popular cannabinoid out there. THC is what makes you feel high. So it's the most popular definitely for recreational use. Also really great for pain relief. It relieves nausea, which in turn stimulates the appetite. But like I said, it does make you feel high, so you've got to be comfortable with that. You can take THC in very low doses so that you don't necessarily feel high, but we'll get into that as well. We have THCA as well. THCA is actually the precursor of THC. All that means is that THC, that A stands for acid. THCA is non-psychoactive. It would almost be like plucking the leaves from the cannabis plant, juicing them, and then drinking that. A lot of really great health benefits. First of all, it's neuroprotective. It can help delay the process of Alzheimer's. So if you know Alzheimer's runs in your family, it can help to myelinate those axons. That's what happens when you get Alzheimer's. Your brain starts to kind of look like Swiss cheese, right? THCA can slow that process down. Now, there's not strong enough evidence saying that it can stop that, right? Alzheimer's is not a curable disease, but it can slow it down. Also, THCA is really, really great mood lifter. It floods your body with serotonin without making you feel high again, right? So you don't have to feel high. And it also is really great for pain, specifically nerve pain. THCA actually acts as it kind of blocks the receptors. Like when we're in pain, our body starts to release enzymes that tell us we're in pain. THCA releases serotonin. It also blocks those receptors that release those painful enzymes. So it can work for you for acute aches and pains without making you feel high. We also have CBD. CBD is probably the second most popular cannabinoid out there. It stands for cannabidiol. It's non-psychoactive. Most people use CBD for inflammation, so arthritis is a big, big thing for CBD. Also anxiety and depression. CBD is also the one there that can inhibit cancer cell growth. It's shown the most promise in inhibiting cancer cell growth. We have CBN. Now, CBN is the degradation product of THC. So it starts out as THCA, goes to THC, and then degrades down into CBN. Now, CBN is slightly psychoactive, and I say very slightly. It really just makes you really sleepy. If you take enough CBN, you'll just fall asleep. And it'll make you lazy. It's more of a body high than a head high. It won't make you feel stupid or anything like that. But it's really great for pain relief. It works amazing for sedation. So if you can't sleep at night, CBN is really, really great. It's also antibacterial. It promotes cell growth as well. Medical, so this is my 7th one that I added because it's so important to me. THCV is the cannabinoid that has been showing promise in treating Parkinson's disease. So the tremors from Parkinson's disease, THCV. THCV is predominant in sativa strains. We will definitely go over what sativa means a little bit later on. THCV can be slightly psychoactive if you take it in very, very, very large doses, but it's a very, very good energy stimulant, and it actually reduces the appetite. So we know THC to make us really hungry. THCV, if you get a pill of THCV, which we have at HPC, right? it can boost your energy, make you feel really happy, can make you feel high if you go there, if you take enough. But it is really great for stimulating that energy without stimulating the appetite. A lot of people are looking for that. They come in saying, what's not going to make me feel hungry? THCV. All right, so I'm going to go into the endocannabinoid system. Now, all of these cannabinoids that we just talked about, when you consume them, whether it be topically, combustion, if you're vaping it, when you consume those cannabinoids, they attach onto receptors that we have in our endocannabinoid system. You were born with receptors for the cannabis plant. So we are made to consume this plant, right? The endocannabinoid system basically regulates our physiological processes, so things like appetite, our sleep cycle, mood, things like that. We have CB1 and CB2 receptors. CB1 receptors are mostly in our CNS, or central nervous system. Just think your brain and your spinal cord, right? CB2 receptors are mostly in our peripheral nervous system, so think voluntary muscle movements, right? So cannabinoids will block or bind to these receptors to initiate processes or stop processes from happening. So just a little example, all of the green dots here, those are where CB1 receptors are located. All of the orange dots are where the CB2 receptors are located. THC really favors that CB1 receptor. That is why when people come in and say, I want only CBD, no THC at all, they're not doing themselves a very big favor, because you want even that little bit of trace amount of THC for it to hit all of those receptors and really work the best. When you're getting a CBD only or even a THC only process or product, you're only hitting certain receptors, and you want the overall wellness from the plant. So we also have terpenes, along with those cannabinoids that attach onto our endocannabinoid system to either, produce or stop certain effects. We have terpenes. All that terpenes are essential oils or the aromatics of the plant. So we know, if anybody's into essential oils, they're very popular nowadays, right? The diffusers, the essential oil therapy, all of that stuff. The cannabis plant, in one plant, can have hundreds of terpenes, different terpenes. They're usually predominant and, just a few. So a terpene is found in a lot of other plants, like lavender, like pine trees, like the peel of a lemon or an orange, right? So we know, we're all women, right? We have face wash with orange or lemon. It's like invigoration. Well, that's because of the terpenes that are in that face wash. Lavender, we know, and chamomile makes us feel very relaxed. That's because of the terpenes in lavender. And a really popular one of my favorite is the lavender terpene, which is linalool. So linalool is a terpene that's predominant in a lot of indica strains. So when you go into the shop and you kind of notice that people are smelling the different flowers, that's what they're smelling. That's what they're looking for, those terpenes. And those different smells will cause different effects. So the terpenes, along with the cannabinoids, will produce the maximum benefits of what you're trying to look for. And so I kind of put up here common indica and common sativa terpenes. So when you are talking about the cannabis plant, really flower specifically, but some terpenes can differentiate between indica and sativa. We have a little rhyme to remember the difference between the two. We say indica puts you in the couch, right? So indica, very relaxing, it's sedating. And my two favorite terpenes that are found in most of the indica plants are gonna be myrcene there, which is another terpene that's really predominant in the mango, the fruit and mango fruit, right? So if you think of how mango smells, mango actually has tons of myrcene in it, very relaxing. And then that linalool, that was my lavender terpene there. So that lavender and that myrcene, or the linalool and the myrcene, so mango and lavender, also found in the cannabis plant. Sativas tend to be a lot more uplifting, energetic, euphoric. They get your creative juices going. So if you're an artist and you're really trying to, break through, sativa. Limonene and alpha-pinene are the two most popular sativa terpenes and two most predominant. When you smell a sativa flower, a lot of times they're super lemony, which is very uplifting and invigorating. Same with that pinene. And one strain comes to mind, it's called Jack Herrera. If you go into the shop, just definitely ask to see some sativas because they always smell so crazy and it'd blow your mind. Okay, so the entourage effect is the idea that those cannabinoids that we talked about and the terpenes, they work the best together. So the whole plant produces more overall health benefits and more of the effect that the consumer is looking for. All right, so what type of ailments can cannabis treat? Cannabis can treat so many different ailments. Everyone is different. I'd like to add that. So if we have two people that have arthritis, one product might really work for this person. Well, that same product does not work for the second person. They might want to find something a little bit different. A lot of times when you're looking for cannabis to treat an ailment, it's a journey. You experiment because everyone is so different. You come in, you talk to a cannabis consultant, tell them your issues. Sometimes we don't know all of the medical issues because we're not doctors. Just remember that, we are not doctors. But we'll try our best. We'll ask you a lot of questions, so don't be offended if you do come in with any ailments, because we're gonna ask you a lot of questions so that we can find the right product for you. So, yeah, of course.
So you're talking about specifically arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you would take and it has an effect over time, or is it something you would affect, it helps you like for a certain amount of time and then it dissipates?
That's a good question.
and goes away?
Yeah, so there are different it depends on what product you choose to use to treat your arthritis. We have sublingual tinctures. It's basically cannabis oil, usually suspended in a coconut oil. And I would suggest something like a 20-to-1 ratio, primarily CBD, with a little bit of THC in there just so it can do its job right. The CBD, if you do a sublingual tincture, the CBD does have to build up in your system for you to start seeing results. So I would say if you're doing a sublingual, you want to take it at the same time every day. You should start to see results in about 2 weeks. If you don't, that might not be the right tincture for you. And then we could, start over, figure out something, maybe a different ratio. But there's also topical options. If you don't want to actually ingest the cannabis, totally fine. We have lots of solves. We also have transdermals. So a transdermal actually does get into the bloodstream from the skin, and that's something that you can just rub on. With a transdermal or topical, you will feel immediate relief in terms of the pain, but in terms of the inflammation, say you've got arthritis so badly that your hands noticeably swell or your knee noticeably swells, whatever the case may be, it might take a little bit longer to see results of the swelling. But the pain relief with a topical or transdermal will happen right away. I always suggest transdermals over topicals when we're trying to treat issues from the inside, like arthritis. If you have skin issues, topical all the way. But if it's things like arthritis where that inflammation is really happening on the inside, I would always go with a transdermal. And transdermals and topicals, you usually have to apply every 3 hours or as needed. To get relief, yes. Right, okay. Or to keep it going, right? Okay. We also do transdermal patches. So if you choose to go with a patch, the patches provide relief for 12 hours. So all day, the patches you can cut because it does get a little bit expensive if you do choose to go for the patch route, but you can cut the patches into 4s. So you can get 4 servings from one patch. They're really, really great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The cannabis plant, most of those cannabinoids are very antifungal and antibacterial too. You have any skin issues, fungus in your feet, things like that, you can find great topicals that'll treat that. High blood sugar, so that THCV that's showing really promising results in treating diabetes, THCV. Muscle spasms and seizure disorders, CBD, THC, CBN, and also THCV will help with that as well. So seizure disorders, Parkinson's disease again, also MS. We have a lot of MS patients that come into the shop. Nausea. We also have a lot of chemo patients that come into the shop and they cannot eat, they cannot sleep. CBN is a huge molecule that I always try and get the cancer patients on. Also delta-8 THC, which I won't go into that right now, but if you want to learn more, come on in and find out more about delta-8, especially if you know some cancer patients. Insomnia, THC and CBN, they'll knock you right out. Anxiety and depression. Now, for anxiety and depression, I really suggest CBD most of the time because THC, if you are anxiety prone, can actually stimulate the anxiety. So always be wary of that. Ask us a lot of questions if you're not sure, or even not us, any cannabis consultant. Ask them a lot of questions. They should have the answers. If they don't, maybe go somewhere else, right? Alzheimer's disease, like I said, preventative, and it kind of slows it down. It's not going to stop it. It's not going to prevent it. It's unpreventable, you know. We also have sciatica, the huge one. A lot of people come in with sciatica pain. Those patches, those transdermal patches, amazing for sciatica pain. Also topicals. So THC, THCA, and THCV are also really known to boost the libido. So we actually at HPC, we do a lot to boost the libido. We have medicated lubricant, which is very, 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 very popular, especially in the women that are going through the change. They're all coming in like, my friend got this, and they're all telling each other too. So a lot of women are coming in saying, I want the lube, you know, whispering, and like, here it is. We have 3 different sizes, even if you just wanted to try a teeny tiny little serving size too. We also have certain strains of flower that boost the libido as well, and we do tea. It's called Sensuality, little tea bag that's made to boost the libido. Also skin conditions and skin care. We carry several beauty products there, such as body butter. We have peppermint pain salve. We have even stretch mark cream for new mothers. We have breast balm. We have a lot of different things like that. Just come on in, check it out. So consumption, there are so many different ways of consumption. So I would say the most popular way of consumption is combustion. Combustion would basically mean smoking, right? You would light the flower on fire, whether you use a bowl, a pipe, or you're smoking a pre-rolled joint. We also have vaporization. Vaporization is becoming so much more popular. Unfortunately, some of the kids are catching on to the vaporization as well. We're going to go over some safety tips with the vapes because there are a lot of illegal products out there. We are hearing more and more in our shop that there are gas stations in the area and just regular smoke shops that are selling cartridges which are filled with cannabis oil, which are made to be used in a vape, but they are not licensed to sell those products. So those products aren't necessarily safe. It's a huge thing, and I know that if you guys were at Chief Salinas' talk, a couple weeks ago, he was talking about they are finding kids in school with cannabis vapes, which those kids are probably getting illegally, which is why it's really important to support the legal shops. Yes?
I happen to bring this thing you're calling a vape. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, do you have
I
one?
got one.
Yay! Because I don't. I actually gave my battery
no
away.
idea.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah, here, let's check it out. So, a cannabis, oh, it's your libido, it's a pretty one. Okay, so a vape is basically extracted cannabis oil. They extract it from the whole plant, and then they will fill it up.
Is that a vapor in there, or is that like a spray?
So, not necessarily. It's an oil on the inside, and then there's also on the inside a heating element. Sometimes it is a metal coil, and most of the times nowadays it's a ceramic heating element. They're finding that the ceramic. Yeah, in here. Of course, yeah, I'm gonna come right over. So this one, I'm gonna have you.
It's like way giving me a free sample.
So there, you can see the little window. It's filled with cannabis oil. That one's disposable, so there's a hole on one side, not on
Yeah,
the
but
other.
so what do you do with it?
You inhale,
Seriously?
and then instead of, it's not combustion.
From
because-
there?
Yeah, from the hole.
I want to know what my kids are doing.
Some people call vaping a little bit of a safer way than combustion because you're not combusting the plant material, it's only the oil, and it's only vaporization.
So
It's a
you
much
take like
lower
one or
temperature.
two, you take the whole thing?
Oh God. I love your body. I love your body. I would start off with one or two, especially if you're a beginner.
Oh, yeah.
So once you smoke something, one hit, your peak high will happen around 15 minutes. And then a smokable, your high can last around 3 hours. So 15 minutes to 3 hours when you're new and you would want to try cannabis oil, which is much more potent than the actual flower. I would stick to 1 or 2 puffs.
So
Give
is
yourself
that
a little
something that I would use for, say, arthritis? I have arthritis issues, blah, 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 blah.
bit. Yes, you
Or,
can
I
get
mean, or am I just
THC.
doing this for feeling good, like
Yeah.
instead of a drink?
Either or.
Oh.
This Vivo, actually, I always
Kick
compare
over that
this
line.
Or
This
right
is
before
called-
a chamber meeting?
Yeah. This little device is called a Bebo. It's a little disposable, and it is more of our, oh no, this is the inspired one, but we have a relaxing one, which I always compare to a glass of red wine. That's how it makes you feel.
You call it inspired, huh?
This one is called Inspired. This one is more of an
Inspired.
uplifting one. But these guys you can get with THC, which will make you just feel high and in a really good mood, right? Like a glass of wine. Or you can get all CBD vapes, a
That's actually
ratio.
all CBD.
Yeah, this one is a CBD vape too that you could just use for arthritis. Won't make you feel high at all. CBD vapes are amazing for people that have anxiety, especially people that get panic attacks.
So they have a similar effect in terms of reducing pain, but just not with the
Not feeling
high.
high? Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'd be good. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I use one to go sleep. Sometimes I'll, when you get through your day and you're completely anxious and you can't turn your brain off, for me, I can't seem to get to sleep, so I'll have one next to my bed, I'll take a small one up and then I'm out in 5 minutes.
Wow.
So it's really helpful. The disposable is perfect for me because it's
Can I give it to my grandson? No.
How old is he?
21, yes.
He's adorable.
We do have tinctures for children, can of kids. Where did I click here? Here we go.
I'm just kidding. My daughter will love it.
All right, so next up we have ingestion. Ingestion would be eating it. So edibles can be a little tricky, and that's how you would ingest. You would ingest either THC or CBD edible, and again, CBD edible is not going to make you feel high. THC edibles will make you feel high, and it is not the same high as smoking it. Like I was saying before, when you smoke something, your peak high happens at 15 minutes. It lingers around for about 3 hours. When you ingest an edible, it gets processed in your body way differently than when you smoke it. When you smoke it, that peak high happens in 15 minutes because the molecules in the smoke or the vapor are small enough to cross your blood-brain barrier almost immediately. When you ingest a cannabis edible, the THC actually gets processed through your liver. So first of all, you do metabolize some of the product away. So bioavailability-wise, edibles aren't your best bet. But the THC, as it does process, it comes on slowly. So an onset time for an edible can be between 30 minutes and 2 hours before it hits you. You eat a cookie, you think you're good, and half are like, I don't even feel anything, I'm gonna have another cookie, which is a huge mistake that happens all the time because they're not waiting enough, and then a couple hours later, they're like, whoa, it hits them, and then it gets stronger.
He had like 3 brownies like that because his wife's brother was dying of cancer, and they had brownies in the house to relieve his pain, etc. Well, after he passed, the brownies were still in the refrigerator, and my friend, he forgot about that. He went in, he had like 3. He ended up in the hospital overnight. I mean, he was seriously.
Yep, and that's happening more and more and more, that people are ending up in the emergency room because they had too many edibles because they're not sure how much to eat. They're just not sure. It doesn't tell you on the package. And even that's homemade, so that's even worse because you don't even know how many milligrams are in those brownies. He could have had 300 milligrams, which, I mean, I might go to the ER if I had 300 milligrams. It can't kill you. If you overdose on cannabis, you might just feel, I mean, not even overdose, right? If you overconsume, I want to say, you might get the spins, almost like if you have too much alcohol, you might feel a little bit nauseous. You might feel a bit paranoid. Eventually, you will just sleep for a long time. And then when you wake up, you will be right back to normal. No hangover, no nothing. That's what's great about cannabis. I don't drink alcohol anymore because I have cannabis with no hangover. So with edibles, we have a little bit of a rhyme. I'm gonna go over it again, but since we're talking about it, right, we say start low and go up slow. All of these packages, when you are buying edibles legally, you know your dosage. It is illegal to not put dosage information on the packaging. So we usually tell people to start with 5 milligrams of THC and you work your way up by 5 milligrams of THC. So say you eat a 5 milligram cookie and within an hour you think you can have another cookie, only have 5 more milligrams and then wait it out again. That's if you're new. If you're experienced, you probably already know your milligrams. I know mine, I like to stay between 10 and 15 milligrams, but I would not suggest that for somebody who's brand new.
Do you always, I'm sorry I'm asking something.
No, yes, that's why we're here.
Does your body get used to a certain level and then you won't feel it anymore?
It does, yeah, your tolerance will build up, a lot like alcohol. You drink every weekend, it might take you longer to get drunk than somebody who's never drank before in their life.
So it has the same type of effect.
Exactly, it'll build up in your system, so a 5 milligram dose is not going to be your dose forever. You'll build up. You'll say a 5 milligram dose will stop working for you. That's also true if you're using the same product over and over and over and over again. Say you keep getting the same tincture. Eventually, you're gonna notice that it's just not working as well anymore, and it's time to move a step up. Which is another reason that we suggest start low, go up slow, because you don't want to have a crazy tolerance right off the bat. That's no fun, and especially if you're using it medicinally, it's just going to get real expensive if you do that to yourself. So we also have sublingual drops, and those are where the tinctures would come in. I know it kind of sounds the same because the sublingual drop, you're also putting it into your mouth, but it's getting processed in your body differently. When you chew and swallow those edibles, that would be that ingestion consumption method, gets processed through your liver, like I said. Sublingually, you actually have a bunch of receptors in your mouth that the THC, that the cannabinoids are small enough to pass into. So with a sublingual tincture, gets into your system within 15 minutes versus the edible wait time of 30 minutes to 2 hours. So bioavailability, meaning your body is going to absorb the most amount of milligrams or the most from that product, a sublingual. Sublingually is the best way to take it because when it does get processed through your liver, when you do eat things, you metabolize some of it away. When you're vaporizing or combusting, you're burning some of that away. You know what I mean? Sublingual, you're getting all of it. It's the best way. And then we have topical and transdermal. Topicals, really just applying cannabis oils to the skin. We have salves, lotions, elixirs, things like that. We also have those transdermals. So a topical product will not get into your bloodstream. You can get a topical product that's infused with THC, more THC than CBD, because I'm thinking of one product in mind that we have, that is really great for pain relief, but will not make you feel high. A transdermal compound gets into your bloodstream. So a transdermal compound that has THC in it will get into your bloodstream. And I'm kind of going over that over and over again because we do have people that want relief using CBD, but do get drug tested. If you get drug tested, we still have things for you, but you don't want to use your prescription pills. We have a lot of people like that, like I don't want to feel high, I get drug tested, but I don't want to take my pills anymore. Can you help?
Will they, if you're taking other medications for other things, will that affect how those drugs work?
That's a really good question, actually. No, they won't, unless the only medication that any of these cannabinoids will interact with is blood pressure medication. If you are on blood pressure medication, and you're consuming THC, THC will lower your blood pressure. THC is a natural vasodilator, right? So it dilates your blood vessels, which in turn lowers your blood pressure. So if you're taking blood pressure medication along with THC, it can drop your blood pressure a little bit too low and make you feel lightheaded. You know how when you stand up you get a head rush? It can make you feel like that. But the good news is you can get off of your blood pressure medication by using THC. And we have a lot of people that come in and they do that. They get off of a lot of other medications. They replace it with these cannabinoids that are natural and don't mess up your belly. That's a huge thing that we get is people like, well, my doctor gave me a pill for this and that pill made this happen, so they gave me a pill for that pill and then that pill and then that, and then it's just, you know, a trickle effect. These guys, cannabis is not like that at all. And it's not gonna, you can take your regular medication just fine, but you can also get off of your regular medication as well. So yes, drug testing, totally fine. We still have something for you. Would not suggest a transdermal though, that has THC in it. Just keep that in mind. I'm not sure how much it would take from a transdermal to actually pop on a blood test or on a drug test. But I would never want to ruin someone's life over that, right? So I always just tell people that's going to get into your bloodstream. That's up to you, you know? All right, safety tips. Do not ever drive when you've consumed THC. If you feel high, do not drive, please. It does reduce your reaction time, okay? So it's dangerous. Also, don't mix with alcohol. A lot of people do mix cannabis with alcohol. I don't suggest it. alcohol increases the potency of the cannabis increases the potency of the alcohol. So say you're usually able to have 4 glasses of wine and be just fine, right?
Or,
I know, that's even a little bit for me. I was like, or you're used to smoking just 1 joint and you're just fine, but say you have 1 joint and 1 glass of wine, you will be messed up. We call that cross-faded in the industry, and that is Spin City right there. It's not a good time. Also, keep your products away from your kids. Lock them up, keep them up high. Everything does have to be a child-proof packaging now. That's when it leaves the store. Once you guys leave the store, that's up to you whether you shred the packaging or keep it all locked up. Also, keep it away from your pets too. My dog definitely had a piece of banana bread one time by accident, and I felt so bad for her. I mean, she slept for a really long time, but I could tell she was not having a good time. So, away from kids and pets. Also, a couple of safety tips, what to look for, especially since we've had so many people coming in with fake products that are really dangerous. Always look for lab testing results on any cannabis product you get. They all have to have them. If there is no lab testing results on the packaging, whether it be an edible, a tincture, CBD, THC, any product has to be lab tested, which is good for us. We know we're consuming a safe product. They test for the potency of the product, how much THC and how much CBD is in there, so that people can dose themselves accordingly. They also test for residual pesticide, which most of these products are organic. There's a couple that aren't though, but they do have to test for residual pesticides that we're not consuming. They test by parts per million, so teeny, teeny, tiny little bit. They also check for residual solvents. When they extract the cannabis oil, sometimes they do it with a hydrocarbon, such as butane or propane. I know that sounds a little bit scary, but if I'm being honest with you, there's more butane in a glass of orange juice than there is in one of those cartridges. So just keep that in mind. Butane is natural. It's a natural chemical. You still don't want to be, inhaling it. That's why we test for it parts per million, right? What else do we test for? Also mold. A lot of microorganisms. There can't be mold or any bacteria in any of these products either.
Will that
go ahead.
will that kind of testing be on the label? I mean,
Yes.
What that type of testing for mold and what?
Yep, all of that testing information will be on there. Most of these products, or actually all of the products, will have the testing information, also the batch number. So if you wanted to go even farther than that, you could go to the website from the company, look up the batch number, and see the entire layout of the testing information.
Is there a way to make sure that every product is the same level? I mean, like per batch, from batch to batch, is there consistency?
Not necessarily, because it's a plant, right? So it's really hard to find a plant that's going to grow the same way every time. So each batch is tested separately. How they test them, right? Say we're testing a batch of cartridges or even a batch of flour. They will harvest everything, they package everything, they pull one of those packages or one of those cartridges that's already in its packaging and everything, it's ready to go from that batch. They send that to a lab. It has to be third-party tested. They cannot test their own products, so there's no cheating. There's only about 17 labs in California that every dispensary has to go through for lab testing. So they'll test one. If that one product passes, the batch passes. If that one product fails, the entire batch fails. Just keep that in mind. Also, the BCC, all of cannabis dispensaries in California must be licensed from the BCC. BCC stands for the Bureau of Cannabis Control. So these products and this industry is being very, very, very well controlled and very, very, very well monitored. Even more so than the alcohol industry. I can't even tell you how many hoops and rules and things that we have to go through. So the BCC licenses in the dispensaries should be displayed where everyone can see. Most of the businesses in the area, I believe, is in their lobbies. That's what I've noticed. Ours is in our lobby. Same with Emerald Perspective, they have theirs right in the lobby. If you want to see it, ask. Always ask. You definitely want, I mean, I can tell you that the dispensaries in the area, we're all licensed. The chief would not let that slide to have an unlicensed dispensary. But if you venture down to LA has tons of illegal dispensaries. You are not guaranteed a lab-tested product at those dispensaries. You are guaranteed a cheaper price, which is what draws a lot of people.
How can they be in Houston if they're illegal? I mean, if there's tons of them, you know, they all in somebody's like bedroom or something, or what?
Some are in gas stations, some are in regular smoke shops. Some are just in pop-up shops, right? They'll have a whole dispensary. Maybe the cops will find out. They'll raid the dispensary. That dispensary is going to open up in a couple days in a different location. They're very sneaky down there. We're not having that problem here, thank goodness. I don't think we ever will because we're such a small community. But just be wary if you are shopping for cannabis in LA, make sure they're licensed. And I can give you a kind of a little bit of a tips. Everything is pre-packaged nowadays. You go down to LA and they still have big giant jars of bud and they're weighing out for you with chopsticks. You know, that was the old days. That is not allowed anymore. They're illegal if they're doing that. They don't have lab testing information on their products. They're illegal. If you're getting a full gram cartridge for $30, it's illegal. I'm telling you, that is not a thing. So yeah, always ask for licensing. Always ask for the lab testing if you're looking at any product. Lab testing, very important. Also, all packaging must be child-proof. All of our packaging is child-proof. Some of it's really hard to open, just to give you that. Yeah. How they make it child-proof, they kind of put a kid in a room, they give them the packaging, and they give them a time limit. If the kid can rip into the packaging within, I think, 5 minutes or something, it's not good enough. They got to send the packaging back to do some more work on it. So a lot of things I can't open either, so it's really hard. Oh, and then my edibles. With edibles, start with 5 milligrams and work your way up by 5 milligrams, please, because I keep hearing emergency room visits relating to cannabis are just going up and up and up, and most of those emergency room visits are because of edibles. Nothing bad is going to happen. If you are having a bad or uncomfortable experience with an edible or you've over-medicated yourself, search for some CBD. CBD will bring that THC effect right back down. You don't have to go to the ER. You'll be just fine no matter how bad. Just take a nap. Instead of calling 911, take a nap because you'll be fine, I promise. And then HPC, that's us. We do offer free consultations. You guys can come in, open door policy. We're open every single day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Someone will always be available for you. When you come in, you are working one-on-one with a cannabis consultant every time you come in. Ask as many questions as you want. We will answer as many questions as you want, and we will show you every product if you want to.
Is this the one in the wheelhouse? Are you the one in the wheelhouse?
We are next door to Wheelhouse.
Okay.
We're in the Hardy Mole building on the very 3rd floor.
Okay.
We are the highest.
My chiropractor used to be over there, that's why. No.
What happened?
Her
My
chiropractor.
used to be in that building.
Oh, okay. The tall one or the one with the 2 stories?
2 or 3 story house.
Okay, well, we're the third.
Yeah.
The nice thing is too, we are on the 3rd floor, so it's very discreet. Some people don't want people to see them walking into a dispensary, frankly, you know, or anything like that. So we also feel that our patients also feel very safe when they go up there because we have the entire 3rd floor, so you're not in front of anybody else's shop or store. So if you just kind of want to check it out, completely anonymous, you go up there, check in and ask questions and take a look around. Like I said, it's no pressure buying. You go in. It's also really just interesting to see the incredible amount of product that is available.
There's really
with
cool
plants.
stuff.
It's pretty incredible. From lotions and edibles, gummies, cookies, hard candies. It's pretty wild.
And 2 more questions for you, sorry.
Of
Expiration date. I bought a product from a lady for my mom over a year and a half ago. She's in New Jersey. My family did not want to give it to her because they thought it would be illegal in New Jersey. So never got used, never got opened. My question is it still usable now? Is it over a year and a half ago? Maybe 2 years ago?
most cannabis products have a shelf life of 1 to 3 years. If it is a food cannabis product, so
Use the spray under the tongue.
oh, you should be fine. Are you keeping it refrigerated?
Hell no, I don't know.
Gotcha. So
Are you?
the spray under the tongue, I would call that a sublingual tincture. If you do plan to have cannabis products for a long time, I would always put it in the refrigerator just to keep them almost like an antibiotic or any other vitamin that you would have.
But it
That's
wouldn't be bad for you right now.
what's that?
It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't have a.
No, depending on what it's suspended in, the shelf life of the oil that it's suspended in. But if it's coconut oil, olive oil, it might even still be alcohol. They used to mix tinctures with alcohol, which is now illegal. But if it is, over a year old, could be suspended in alcohol. You should be totally fine. Yeah, 1 to 3 years. If it tastes weird, maybe not, but.
How would I know if it's? I've never tasted.
But that would be the thing. It's the food.
I'll tell you what. I will bring it into you.
Yes,
And
let
I
me
will
look
bring
at it.
You look.
I'll look
Okay,
at
The
it.
other question I had
Yeah.
is, okay, so do you have recipes? So what do you buy if you want to put it in your brownies, or your banana bread, or your whatever?
We have cannabis butter that you can buy for that and cannabis oil. You can actually make your own butter too from the actual cannabis buds, the flowers of the plant. It's expensive to do it from the buds, but some people still prefer it that way because it's very therapeutic. It's actually really fun to make cannabis butter. I used to make these peanut butter cookies that were infused, and I'd give them out all over Ohio all the time.
Not too special.
People loved it.
So, but you have to buy a lot to make,
You would. It does take a lot of actual flowers. I would suggest probably for every stick of butter, you buy at least 7 grams for every stick. And that would kind of be on the lower end. Then you have to cook it down really low and slow, about 3 hours on your stovetop, but you don't want it to boil.
In the butter.
Yeah, you would put the flour right in the butter, mix it together, and then you would just strain it out. It's really fun. And it turns the butter a beautiful green color.
I don't know who has these.
They actually also have a magical butter machine
I have one,
that
yeah.
works really well. You just put it in there, set it, and forget it, like
It's like a
Ron
crock
Popeil.
pot for
Yes.
weed butter. It's pretty
Yes.
cool.
This is such a learning experience. I'm like, I have no idea about it.
But one thing that comes to mind that we have, sometimes we do have cannabis butter. We don't have any at the moment, but we do have a coconut oil tincture. It's just a little cannabis oil. It's got 1,000 milligrams of THC in it. You could just even drop a couple of that into your tea or your coffee in the morning, medicate yourself. You can mix that into any type of food you want. It's a little bit easier getting something that's already extracted than doing the extraction yourself. But to me, if you have enough time and you're bored, making the butter is a really good time.
I am never bored.
If you're busy, then making butter is not up your alley because you're just not going to have enough time. You're going to be waiting there for 3 hours. Then you got to refrigerate it. You got to strain it. It's a process. But it's really rewarding, and the butter turns really pretty and green. Yay, I did that.
I thought I just buy brownies.
Or you could do that. We've got brownies. We even have brownie bites. They're delicious.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
So what would you recommend we tell people who are intimidated, who want to explore cannabis options but are intimidated to go to a shop? Or they've gone to a shop and they feel it a little like raunchy when they go in there, like, I'm not comfortable in here.
Ask for a manager, always.
No, but I mean, they're kind
Oh,
of.
just to like get them to go in the
Yeah.
first place? Suggest they come to HPC where we have such a, we're such a
you have website, for
welcoming,
example.
what's that?
You have a website.
We do. We have a website. You could look at all of our products. We've got pictures on the website. We have a Facebook and an Instagram account. We also do a lot of community outreach. I've spoken to senior groups, things like that. I'm really wanting to educate the community so there's not such a stigma against the cannabis. It's not terrible. We're not criminals. Most of us in the shop, we're college educated. We're good people, and we will always help you out. If you want to talk to someone one-on-one, call us first. Tell us you don't feel comfortable, and come on. That happens all the time. I have a few patients that will come in and only talk to me. That's fine. If you only want to see me, Call us, make sure I'm available for you, and you can come and only see me. You don't have to even look at anybody else. If you want to come in and only see Beth, you can only see Beth, but I'll probably be there too. Just things like that. You have somebody that you know that works there and you just want only them, or say you feel comfortable, or you know you want to talk to a female, or you want to talk to a male, let us know. We will always work with you. We're here for you. We will cater to your needs. If you need to take a seat, because we don't have seating areas back in the bud room, but if you need to take a seat, you want to actually sit down, have a one-on-one, totally. Whatever you want to do. We're here for you guys to make you feel comfortable. We're comfortable in there already, so don't worry about us. Don't worry about asking questions. That's why we're here.
At our shop in particular, we do want to, we really promote that really friendly atmosphere. We want it to be a fun experience when you walk in, whether it's just for a discovery of just the stuff that you're looking at, or specifically to deal with a particular ailment, or if you're also just experimenting that you kind of want to experiment recreationally. There are, like I said, Erica is one of our many incredible staff that work there, and they're always open to questions. Like I said, we just like to have a good time. We want you to have a good time. And I think when you come in, you might initially be intimidated, but we usually say that they leave with a smile.
Just read our reviews.
Yeah.
You'll see. That's another thing. Go onto our read maps, look at the review section. Go onto Google, look at our review section. They're all good. I wouldn't be telling you to go look at the reviews if they weren't. And I can't tell you how many times our staff is mentioned in those reviews. We're very nice, I promise. We've got a great staff, one of the most educated staff as well.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you all for coming out.
I hope everybody learned something.